Hey guys, welcome back. And today we're going to be going through my winners and losers from day one of NFL free agency. Now, before we get into it, I was live for the first few hours and we absolutely killed it. We had 16,000 viewers in the stream. If you guys were there, huge thank you. It was an absolutely incredible time and I'm really excited. We had a lot of really big stories break today and we had some break after I went off the live. Now, I'm pretty excited about this. There are a lot of teams I could have mentioned, but we've only got 5 winners and we've only got 5 losers. So the Raiders, a team that went out and they got Christian Wilkins, they're not mentioned. The Titans, who I think had a pretty solid day, getting Lloyd Cushenberry, getting Chidobe Awuzie, getting Tony Pollard, they're not mentioned either. I think the Colts are another team. They didn't sign any outside guys, but bringing back Grover Stewart, bringing back Michael Pittman, Zaire Franklin, Tyquan Lewis, good day for Indianapolis. The Bears bringing in DeAndre Swift was a good day. The Bengals, that Geno Stone deal. There are a lot of names that we could have mentioned, but we've only settled on 5. So if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Trying to get to 3,000 subscribers before the draft. Also, be sure to check out the mock draft I did last night with Devin Jackson from the Philadelphia Inquirer. And let's go ahead and get into it with the big winner of the day, and it is the New York Giants. Now, I know what you're thinking. They lost Saquon Barkley. They lost Xavier McKinney. They did, but they lost Xavier McKinney at a position that is still really stacked in free agency. Also, I forgot to mention, I am recording this at 8:05 Eastern. So if anything else happens while I'm recording, I'm sorry. We'll get to it in tomorrow's episode. But the Giants, I think, absolutely killed it. First of all, they started the day off. You lost Saquon to the Eagles. It was tough. They didn't look like he was in their future plans. They didn't want to overpay for him. A guy who, when he's been on the field, has been incredible for the Giants. Problem is he hasn't. They tried to bring back Xavier McKinney. He decides to go to Green Bay. You can't really do anything about that. But they did make some moves. Started off with John Runyon on that offensive line. I think that was excellent. They cut Mark Glowinski. They needed to make some moves on the interior. I think they did that. Then they made a few other small moves. I really liked the Devin Singletary pickup. Smaller contract. We saw him be really effective down the stretch for Houston last year. He's now going to get some really important snaps for this team. And on top of that, they went out, they improved the offensive line yet again, getting Jermaine Elliamore. I know I butchered the name. He had a pretty solid year in Vegas last year, so he's probably going to be your right tackle. You kick Evan Neal into right guard. You play John Runyon at left guard. That offensive line has completely taken shape. And now you trade for Brian Burns, who was the thumbnail of this video here. Brian Burns was an absolute steal for this team. He gave up a 2 and a 5. They gave up the number 39 overall pick, and they still have a pick from the Leonard Williams trade. They basically traded Leonard Williams and a 5th rounder for Brian Burns. I think it's incredible value. Now you've got Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. That defensive front looks very, very good. I think they absolutely killed it. I was walking around the mall with my fiance, and then I was like, oh my gosh, the Giants got Brian Burns. That is a huge pickup for this team, and I think that the Giants are a big winner from day one. They had a lot of cap space coming in, and I think they have allocated their funds appropriately and made some really good pickups. Losing McKinney sucks. I think losing Saquon in the long run is not going to be as big of a deal as people think it is, because Saquon really hasn't been all that healthy for the Giants. But they made some moves. This is going to be a team that I think firmly is in that offensive line race or in that wide receiver race for the draft now at number 6. The big loser of the day is Justin Fields. The Steelers, I know I have Russell Wilson on the thumbnail. They are not going to be a loser. I'm just going to let you guys know now. They did not lose today. Justin Fields did, though. You saw it last night. It started. Everyone's like, oh, okay. Justin Fields to the Steelers makes a ton of sense, right? Wrong. They went out and they signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract. Pretty good value, if you ask me. So Justin Fields isn't going to Pittsburgh. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, he's going to go to Atlanta, right? Wrong. Kirk Cousins got a bag from the Falcons. He is going to be their long-term starter for the next few seasons. Okay, so where's Justin Fields going now? Oh, he's going to go to Vegas, reunite with Getsy. Wrong again. They bring in Gardner Minshew to compete with Aiden O'Connell. Justin Fields looks like he's a backup quarterback now. And I think it proves the rest of the league has been watching Justin Fields. The Bears are not, you cannot keep Justin Fields. You see there's no market for him. This is kind of proof to me that Chicago is going to go all in. I don't think we see Fields moved until after the draft. And the team that makes the most sense to me are the Rams. The Rams need a backup quarterback. I know they have Carson Wentz there, but the Rams are desperate for a long-term solution at quarterback. Give Justin Fields a chance here. Stafford hasn't been able to stay healthy the last couple of seasons. Maybe Fields can come in and get a good offensive scheme around him, and maybe that can look a little bit better. But I think Justin Fields' market is completely dead. I think that was everything. That was something that shocked a lot of people. Justin Fields, no to Atlanta, no to Pittsburgh, no to Vegas, and no team wants Justin Fields right now. Another winner for me are the Philadelphia Eagles. They didn't make a lot of moves. They brought in Zach Bond, solid linebacker pickup, better pass rushing linebacker. Speaking of pass rushers, though, they brought in Bryce Huff. I think Hassan Reddick is probably out the door. Now, I already know Eagles fans, well, they traded him because he can't play outside linebacker. I don't think certain people know how the 3-4 works because Hassan Reddick is built to play outside linebacker. They got to move on from his contract. And from what Diana Rossini said, the Eagles were not finished. They were apparently all in on Xavier McKinney, and he chose Green Bay at the last second. They brought in Saquon Barkley, which was a move I really wasn't expecting coming into the day. I was like, I think Saquon's going to Houston. He's going to the Chargers, maybe the Bears. None of those teams came in. It was the Eagles. So he returns to Pennsylvania where he went to college. That's going to make this team a lot better. He is now running behind one of the better offensive lines in football. But the Eagles still have secondary questions. Are they going to get a safety on day 2 of free agency? We shall see. There's still a crap ton of safeties on the market. But I think the Eagles, they now are going to have a more consistent run attack. DeAndre Swift had a really good season. I don't think he is that long-term answer for this team. Saquon Barkley, I think if he is on the field, we know he's one of the 5 or 10 best running backs in football. The Giants lost him, but I think their franchise is in a different position. Philly is trying to win now. We saw how important McCaffrey is to the Niners. They are expecting to get a very similar type of production from Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, to me, is going to have a really good year running behind Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson, and you're running behind that offensive line. I am adding him to my jersey list in that Kelly Green, that beautiful Kelly Green. I would absolutely love that for them. And I like the addition of Zach Bond. I love the addition of Bryce Huff, though. We didn't talk about him a ton, but this was one of the first big pieces that broke on the day, and I was like, oh my, this is a really, really good pickup for them. Bryce Huff, undrafted free agent from the Jets, who absolutely dominated the last couple of seasons, and he's going to be now one of their best pass rushers. They're looking to move Sweat. They're looking to move Reddick, and I think that they now have a really good shot to go get a superstar here. Still a really young guy. I think the contract was really valuable. I think that was a huge win for the Eagles, and we'll see what they can do on the future days of free agency, but I think Howie Roseman did a really good job the first day. Another loser for me are the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't really do a thing. That's kind of the problem. We're hearing Jerry wants to go all in. Jerry's all in on this team this year. Tony Pollard going to the Titans actually really surprised me because to me, now are we looking at a potential Derrick Henry in Dallas sort of thing? Wouldn't be shocked by that. Tony Pollard headed to Tennessee was a move that was not on my bingo card. Don't really think it makes sense for the Titans, to be completely honest. We know that the Cowboys want to move Michael Gallup. They lost Doris Armstrong. They lost Tyler Biadasz. They're going to lose Tyron Smith. And this team has just lost a lot of talent on both sides of the football. I think that's going to come back to hurt them. The rest of the NFC East got better. The Commanders got a lot better. The Eagles got a lot better. And the Giants got a lot better. The Cowboys haven't really done anything. And this is a team that I think needs to get better. They had no run attack with Pollard last year. Now that Pollard's gone, they have even less of a running attack. And I don't think you can go into this season trusting that Deuce Vaughn is going to be your number one. You've got questions at the receiver. A lot of questions right now in Dallas. The offensive line has lost a couple starters. Very interesting stuff in Arlington for America's team. I think early on, they are a loser. I need to see them make a move, and I have some concerns about where they are headed as a franchise. Another winner for me is Kirk Cousins. Just a big round of applause to Kirk Cousins. This is a guy that, we all have our opinions on Kirk Cousins, but this guy is heavily valued around the league because he knows how to get you to the playoffs, and I think he turns the Atlanta Falcons into a contender in that NFC. I really, really do. You pair him with Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Tyler Algier, a good offensive line, and a good defense. I think that's something we are forgetting. This is a good Falcons defense as it is, with Grady Jarrett, with AJ Terrell, with just Jesse Bates. And now you're going to go at a proven veteran quarterback who maybe the playoff success has not been there yet. But this feels eerily similar to Stafford to LA. A quarterback comes in, big contract, they go all in, balls to the wall. They've got young pieces on this team that are really exciting. I think he can get the Falcons to the Super Bowl this year. I know that sounds crazy, but this Falcons team they have been in a position where they need to go get a quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins is the quarterback of the future. I absolutely love this for him. Kirk Cousins is a winner because he got $100 million guaranteed dollars over 4 years with a $50 million signing bonus from Atlanta to be the starting quarterback off an Achilles injury. That is how you leverage yourself. Minnesota, I think, was fine letting him go for that price. I think they were ready to move into a different direction anyways. But Kirko Chains to Atlanta, I am all here for it. I have been screaming that he makes his team contenders for a few weeks now, and I think this is the move that really, really helps the Falcons. He's also a player that I think we forget about. He doesn't rely on his athleticism. That Achilles tear, I don't think is going to hurt him as much as it's going to hurt an Aaron Rodgers because he doesn't rely on his mobility. He's a pocket quarterback, and he's behind a really solid offensive line as it is. He can rely on this run game. I don't think he's going to have to pass as much, but he is a guy that when needed to throw, he is going to make all the right decisions with the football, and I absolutely love this. I think Kirk Cousins is a massive winner from day one. Another loser for me are the New York Jets. Did absolutely nothing, and that's why they're a loser. I mean, Mike Onwenu, I think, is a guy that they wanted. He returned to New England. I think Robert Hunt, we'll get to that in a minute, but I can see why they let that one go. We're expecting David Bakhtiari, Tyron Smith, maybe both of those guys to end up in New York, Tyler Boyd. Like, there's going to be guys that go to the Jets, but I think they should have made their statement a little bit early, and I don't really think they made that move. Literally have been completely stagnant and done absolutely nothing. I think it's concerning to some Jets fans where this is a team that we know they have to be spenders and they've got to go out and make some moves. They've yet to do that. So very interesting there. Don't really have much to say. I could see them getting Aaron Jones, David Bakhtiari, just basically building the New York Packers. But early on, I think the Jets are a loser, but I don't expect it to remain this way. The Packers are a massive winner. When we were live, the move that had me shook the most was Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay Packers. That was one of my most, oh my gosh, reactions because that was a move that nobody saw coming. Now, they cut David Bakhtiari, cleared $21 million in cap space. Absolutely incredible by Dave Gutekunst there. You brought in Xavier McKinney, who was one of the best young safeties in the NFL, and we knew they lost Darnell Savage. They lost Aaron Jones today. They're going to lose A.J. Dillon. You bring in Josh Jacobs, who I think is kind of a thunder and lightning, an A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones type of player in one body. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think he could be both of those roles for them. On top of that, they went out and they improved one of their biggest needs, and that was the secondary. I still think there are more moves that this team can make. Green Bay, right now, if I was a betting man, I think Green Bay goes to the Super Bowl in the NFC. That team is so complete on both sides of the football. They have one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, and they've got weapons on that offensive side, a good offensive line, and their defense is just continuously getting better right now. I think Xavier McKinney is a home run pickup, and Josh Jacobs, I think, is an upgrade over Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I mean, he didn't have the greatest season this year, but I still find him to be an upgrade over those guys. I was a bit surprised about the Aaron Jones cut, but it is what it is. I think the Packers are a big winner. They had an awesome day, and I think it's a big move for them. Another loser for me are the Miami Dolphins. They've just lost a lot of talent. We know they cut Xavier Howard, but you also lost Andrew Van Ginkel to the Vikings today, which the Vikings are not on this list, but they definitely could have been. Blake Cashman, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Jonathan Grenard are 3 home run pickups for this team. On top of that, I really hated – I don't like the contract for Jordan Brooks necessarily. I don't think that's the move they needed to make. They lost one of their safeties. They lost Robert Hunt. They lost Christian Wilkins. They just lost a lot of talent. And I was talking about it on stream. If the Jets can actually get some competency, I'm not ruling out a world where they can win that division next year, simply due to the fact that I don't like what Miami's done. Buffalo has lost a ton of talent as well, and Mitch Morse, half their secondary. They also, they lost Gabe Davis today. There's some losers here, but Miami, I think they lost a lot of talent on the trenches that they really should have kept. I can't believe they did not franchise tag Christian Wilkins. They're all in on Tua, which I think is a mistake. I think Miami is an early loser for me. Another winner for me, going back to the NFC East. All 4 teams in the NFC East make an appearance. 3 are winners. I think Washington had an incredible day today. Austin Eckler, maybe not the greatest running back at this point in his career. He's an upgrade over Antonio Gibson. And pairing him with Brian Robinson, I think, is a nice 1-2 combo there for them. But bringing in Tyler Biadasz, excellent pickup for them. I know he's maybe not the most elite, allowed 3 sacks, only 3 penalties, and over 1,000 snaps last year. Not too bad. Doris Armstrong, another move that I didn't hate. I didn't love it, but I think it's a good pickup, a guy who has chemistry with Dan Quinn. But the move that I was really impressed by was the Frankie Louvu one. This team has been in desperate need of a linebacker for quite some time. They tried with Jamin Davis. That one didn't work out. Frankie Louvu is a very good linebacker, and they're bringing him to Washington. I misread it. I thought it was Arizona. I was like, that is a heck of a pickup for Arizona. Even better for Washington. Dan Quinn trying to improve this defense. We'll see what happens with Kendall Fuller. I expect him. I'm hoping he's an Indianapolis Colts because Chidobe Awuzie got taken. But overall, really like what Washington did today. I think they improved the trenches. They got a linebacker. They got a running back. And I think there's some more moves that could be made for this team. There's still some tackles available, whether they want to go get a Trent Brown, whether maybe you can bring Leno back, Tyron Smith, Bakhtiari. I think there are moves there for Washington to make. And I think they absolutely crushed it on day one. And the final loser of the day are the Carolina Panthers. I don't even know where to begin with Carolina. I think this might be the worst managed franchise in the NFL. You get a second for Brian Burns. That's fine. Just last year, you got offered 2 firsts from the Los Angeles Rams for Brian Burns, and you didn't take the offer. I think it's a major mismanagement of the asset that they had there in Brian Burns. Send him to the Giants. Now you got 2 seconds. What are you going to do with that? T. Higgins seems to be the popular answer, which I'm fine with Higgins in Carolina. Frankie Louvu, letting him go, doesn't make sense. You have some issues at linebacker with Shaq Thompson, who I believe was injured last year. Louvu, one of the most stable forces in that defense. You let him walk. And the worst of all, you gave Robert Hunt a 5-year, $100 million contract. I know with some guarantees it gets up to $100 million. That contract is an overpay, a ridiculous overpay, because I don't think Robert Hunt is a top 5 guard in the league, and you paid him like top 5 money. So I think this is a team that is so desperate to try and add pieces to this team that they are completely ruining it. You've got to go get a receiver. I think they should sign Calvin Ridley and trade for T. Higgins if you can, but absolutely disastrous if I'm the Carolina Panthers. And I would be very upset if I was a Panthers fan at just how poor my franchise is ran right now. I think they are a major loser after day one. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Obviously, I'm sure there were moves while I was recording, and I'll probably go check my phone, and Kendall Fuller will be a Steeler. I have no idea. But that's going to do it for me. Leave a like. Stay tuned. We will be doing part 2 tomorrow. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.